In our interview series with the big change makers, we have a very special guest today, Mr. Nikhil Arora, MD and VP GoDaddy India. He will be completing 5 years in 2022, and there's a huge contribution, a vast change that GoDaddy has seen, not only from the brand side, but in the last 2 years, the brand is known for its social impact that it has created, right? So I want to first touch upon this subject and then go to the brand conversation. Welcome. Thanks for taking our time and talking to Business World, Mr. Arora. My first question is that 2 years, we talk about the changes that brands have undergone. And we have seen how GoDaddy has quickly adjusted and taken on a new meaning in terms of giving it back to the society. Give me a little bit of backstory of how it happened. What all did you do over the last 2 years? You have 6 or 7 programs, 5 to 6 programs running. Give me a sense of that.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having this dialogue, and really excited to share our journey both in social impact as well as on the business front. As you know, last 2 years have been extremely challenging for everybody, right? Whether you're a consumer, whether you're a business person, whether you're a person who's just a freelancer, it's just thrown everybody off. And when the first lockdown happened, I remember, we got on a couple of these video conferencing calls, and you started hearing very disturbing stories of how, folks who were perhaps not very economically well off are beginning to really struggle so badly. And with the entire economy at standstill, right? They had no, I would say, access to even ask for help. Because previously it was all offline, right? People would be able to see them, touch them, talk to them, and different programs were running, kind of in their own way, but not known to the world. And that's when, we started thinking, how do you use the power of online, right? How do we use the power of kind of making the current plight aware to the world? And the first program I remember we started was, I was talking to, at that time, Salim Merchant, and
right.
We were looking at these folk artists,
right.
and they were the folks who come to the hotels and other places and sing and make their living on a daily basis, similar to daily laborers, right? And that got us started on a number of ideas, right? So I'll talk more in detail, but really, when you started looking at different segments of society, and we said, oh my God, if we don't do something now, we are wasting an opportunity, both individually as a brand.
Right. The new word that is gaining currency over the last 2 years is purpose-driven leadership. That's not taken on a new meaning. It used to be something we used to talk about at events, but now it's been practiced. Give me a sense of how GoDaddy has adopted it and how it's nurturing this new concept. And as you've spoken about, the various initiatives, if you can granularly also tell me about the folk artists, and you were telling me about this reforms in jail. Could you shed some more light on this for our viewers?
Yeah, certainly. So I'll go in the latter part, and then I'll come back to purpose-driven leadership and purpose-driven brand. We just recently, completed a series called Faces Behind Change, which essentially captures 5-6 different issues which has affected, the society and the need for them to be able to, raise money and, serve, their basically stakeholders. I talked about folk artists, and folk artists, as I shared, were, the folks who just come and play and earn their living on a daily basis. The second one was around, we worked with Kiran Bediji's foundation, which is around prison reform.
Right.
Now, a lot of time when people go to prison, and I had I got the benefit of actually going and spending a few hours in this prison to understand what goes on in this program. And, when you think about prisons or prisoners, most of the time they come in and 90% of people perhaps haven't committed any big crime. But the philosophy was that if they don't get reformed inside the prison, they're going to go out and then do the same thing again. So this program is meant to help them, kind of be ready to go back into society. So the program helps them through music, through education, through doing some work, earning money, feeling good about themselves, and really getting ready to go back into society. The third cause we got into was Voiceless, which is an organization which supports animals, stray animals. So as you look around in our country, there's so many animals, dogs, cows, pigs, you name it. And this organization, Voiceless, takes care of these animals in some form or structure, whether it relates to providing them a shelter, food, medical, and just keeping them in a place where they feel happy. And when I visited the first time, I saw like 100 dogs surrounding me, and I was like, oh my God, what's happening? But you slowly start embracing them, because these dogs, when they bark at you, they're also afraid of you because they feel like you're there to harm them, because perhaps they've been harmed on the road. But you realize that nurturing goes a long way, and the support goes in a long way. The fourth aspect in this campaign was around a child sexual abuse. A foundation called HEAL, Rahul Bose
Yes.
Foundation, and as we know, there are many statistics out there on this topic, and it's a very difficult topic because not many people would want to talk about it. But because Rahul's been leading this cause, I think we wanted to showcase, at least for the stakeholders, right? Like if something has happened to a child, what should parents do? Right. How should you help the child get through it? How should the teachers help through it, and all that stuff, right? And then the fifth cause we showcased was around mental wellness, which is extremely important in today's world. And the Lone Wolf Foundation basically talks about that you're not alone. I think, and with pandemic, everybody's going through it. And even if you were not on the edge, it has pushed you on the edge. So in all these campaigns, the campaign was meant to showcase the work they're doing, use the power of internet, use the power of websites, and really make people aware that there are these wonderful people who are doing great work, and how we can help, whether through funds, through volunteering, or any other means.
Right. So it's been almost 2 years, right, since you've started the campaigns. So what kind of impact has it created so far, if some of the campaigns have been completed? So what kind of impact have you seen on ground? For example, you were saying the prison reforms and the Voiceless. So are there any concrete numbers with you, or what's the kind of impact that has been generated?
Yeah, so if you think about the folk artists, right, we've raised a sizable amount of money, not by us, but through crowdsourcing, right? Because the beauty of this campaign was that for example, these folk artists, they want to perform. Right. They don't want free money. They don't want charity. They want to earn their living. So the minute you give them a platform to perform, perhaps on a video conference, they're happy. Yeah, whether they get 5,000 rupees or 500 rupees, but they're very happy. So through this campaign, we've been able to secure, work for them. They've got, visibility, been invited by other people to say, hey, do a performance for us online, and here's how you will pay. In prison reform, by helping drive awareness of the work, there are more fundraising they're able to do, and we've also providing some education help into these programs. So we are educating, the stakeholders in this one. So I think when you talk about impact, there is obviously quantitative impact. Mm-hmm. Clearly, all of them have been able to generate more money with our help and other stakeholders. But more importantly, qualitative impact. Right. Because half the battle is making people aware that these issues exist. Otherwise, you're just in your own world thinking that, hey, you're aware of one issue, which is not bad. But when you start thinking about the appreciation of all this going on, your wallets get open, your time gets open, and you spread the word.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is where the contribution is, the real impact is. Tell me also, are you planning to extend these programs beyond where they are right now? Are those plans in place? Because now things have opened up, artists can perform, and a little bit of this positive side to it. But are you planning to continue these programs and extend them beyond where they are? Absolutely.
I think, our goal is to be a purpose-driven brand, and and purpose-driven employees and purpose-driven leadership. And the way we want to do it is use the power of our own brand and our own tools and services. So, website, for example, right? We build websites for all these foundations because we believe that's the least we can do to, help and really help them get discovered to a larger audience. Secondly, I think, we continue to go double down more into these causes, whether, like, for example, we have GoDaddy Academy, which does education programs. So we are partnering with, some of these foundations to provide those programs to
tech education.
It's basic education about, if somebody's trying to just skill themselves to be ready for the world. Hey, what does it take to come online? You want to buy a domain? You want to build a website.
Right.
As simple as that, right? Because that's the first step, to really come online and get yourself discovered. And then, of course, it can go on and on, right? So one is quantitative, the other is, using our tools and services. And the third is, volunteering time. Like I spend time with all the stakeholders here, whether it's Salim or Kiranji or Rahul or these other organizations, about what different they can do to showcase the work. And it's, when I say showcase, it's not about marketing, but the reality is that if people don't know what they don't know, they won't be able to support you. And people, if they don't feel confident and don't have the trust, they will never support you. So part of the whole initiative is, how do we build trust and confidence in people, and how do you do that? Your content on your website, right? How do you position, how do you showcase the work you're doing?
Right.
Plus being also sensitive, to the cause we're doing, because we don't want to be in the face of showing things which don't need to be shown, right? Because we want to be very sensitive and respectful of the folks who are being helped. But it's a balance, but it's an important balance in today's world, because everybody's online, and if you see something, you get connected to it emotionally and you end up supporting it.
Right. I think one of the biggest takeaways of COVID definitely is the empathy that has that we all now so much talk about and adopt. But let me now go to the other side of this conversation, which is GoDaddy. From the brand side, apart from the social things that you're doing, how have the last almost 20 months been for the brand? And what are the new things, new opportunities, the challenges that you had to overcome? Give me a sense of that.
Yeah. So, when we GoDaddy, our mission is to empower everyday entrepreneurs and small businesses. So at the very onset, what we do is we help, like if you have a dream, you name your dream, that's your domain name. Now you have named your dream, how do you bring it online? That's your website. And then how you grow your website, right? Which is all about promoting and productivity and communication and email products and keeping your website secure. When we started our journey in India, our brand awareness was like literally, less than 40%. Today we have 85% brand awareness. We had less than 40 people then, we have over 700 people in the country now. And the way we've kind of approached the brand narrative, especially in the last few years, about really making sure that the message we are trying to get out, which is coming online, is in the most simplest, a little bit more funny, and very connected to the roots of the country, right? So we had signed MS Dhoni as a brand ambassador. Just for this reason, because we believe he had the authenticity and the connectivity, to smaller towns.
Right.
Made, an individual who made it himself and so on. Last 2 years, I think we've also doubled down on the purpose part of it. The things we were talking about, associating with different causes, and also ensuring that the brand really has those kind of values which we represent, right? About teamwork, about enabling small businesses ultimately, because we believe the small businesses have the hardest time to get access to knowledge, right? If you think of a small business, they are perhaps time poor because they're doing many things. A little bit knowledge poor, not because they don't have the education, just because there's so much happening in the tech world. And economically,
affordability.
Affordability, right? So our strategy basically is based on, being the partner to the ecosystem, providing flexible product and services and providing exceptional customer experience. And I must emphasize on the customer experience part because, our customer care center is 24/7, and, it supports customers in multiple languages. But more importantly, whether you bought a product for 500 rupees or 5,000 rupees, you get the same support, right? So a lot of it is about education. A lot of it is about onboarding. A lot of it is about, being the partner to a small business, because sometimes you don't want to oversell something to them they don't need.
Right.
And so you want to make sure you are a partner, not just for now, but for the whole journey.
Right. It's kind of a hand-holding.
Yeah.
And removing the complexities of going online, Correct. I think, through your campaigns, right? It made it simpler, fun. So India has still a lot of SMBs that are not online. They are caught up, maybe they have time poor or can't afford, whatever. So what kind of an opportunity lies out there, and how is GoDaddy looking at tapping into it?
So the speed and velocity of digitization has obviously increased a lot in the last 2 years. I think what was happening in the last maybe 10 years now, in the last 2 years, is 10x or even more than that. So which is a good sign. I think everybody who never thought about coming online now thinks about. It doesn't think about it's a given that I have to be online.
And so COVID has done a lot in this, right?
Absolutely, right? COVID has moved that.
CDO, Chief Digital Officer, right?
Yeah, they moved that, kind of the barrier. Now, the question becomes is, how do we now sustain it and continue to, because it's easy to get online, but then you start realizing there's complexities and there's, stuff you need to do. So as GoDaddy, we've focused on keeping things very simple, right? If you look at the country today, there are only 5 to 6 million domain names on an internet population of 700-800 million, right? So the domains penetration to the internet population is fairly low, less than 1%. Compared to the US, 40 million domain names. Compared to any other country, the domain penetration would be 15-20%. So the runway is very big here, right, for us, because what happens is the first message we give to people is that there are more people who go on social media. Right. And absolutely, you have to do social media. But we educate people that it's a tool, it's an enabler to help you grow your business. But your website is your core property, right? Because your website is managed, controlled, and really representing yourself. And there's nobody else who can do anything on that, right? So to build trust and credibility and really put the right content, have the website, and then use all these tools around, whether it's social media or other tools, because they are enablers. Mm-hmm. They help you get a larger reach.
Right.
But ultimately, your brand is your brand, right? And so we want to, do the right marketing campaigns to educate people, make it simple. So we have, a product called Online Startup Bundle, which essentially, when we talk to a lot of customers, there were a lot of challenges. Building a website takes a long time, it's complicated and so on. So our Online Startup Bundle is a product where within an hour, you get a domain name, you get a one-page website, you get an email, and you're up and going. Simple as that.
Within 1 hour.
Within an hour.
Wow.
So, it is for a beginner.
And affordable.
Affordable, right? It's less than 600 rupees,
Oh.
So it is something we designed for new to the world, people who are sitting on the fence, not sure this is what they want, right? And then we have advanced products like Website Plus Marketing. If your business is in more sophisticated stages, then you want more designs, you want more sophisticated content, right, and so on, right? So we have a lot of pre-populated templates of your business, whether you're an event management company or whether you're a fitness trainer or whatever, right? That you kind of use those templates and really kind of,
these are pre-designed.
With
the complexity suits every business.
Yeah, and we use artificial design and everything, right? So one is to understand your audience segment, where they are in the life cycle, and
right,
put the products accordingly. Then also, safety, security, cybersecurity is a big issue. So, making sure we're educating people to, kind of take the SSL products and making sure your website is secure and so on. And then email, right? A lot of people still use their very personal emails when they start the business. And we say, hey, this is an opportunity to promote your brand, because if your email is at whatever your business is, every time you're sending an email,
it's a recall.
Yeah, it's a recall. And two, it looks professional. Right. It looks sophisticated, especially if you're doing business with somebody abroad. You get something from a personal email, they'll be like, okay, are you real? Are you not? And so on.
Absolutely.
So if you have a professional email, your credibility, your brand building really, gets more amplified and accelerated.
So one is reducing the entry barrier. And the other thing is to raise awareness and tell them, look, these barriers are low now and you can come in. So are you also doing something on that side? Are there new campaigns, or are you going out? Is there an outreach program that you are thinking of, or do you have?
Yes. So so the way we go to customers is, one is through our direct, right? We obviously do our integrated marketing campaigns with, we've done with Dhoni. We do a lot of things with the world of sport. We've, partnered with, a lot of cricketing events. We've partnered with a lot of, badminton events and so on, because sports reaches to the masses. Right. The other channel we have is the, web developers, web designers, and resellers, because ultimately, a lot of people, they go to somebody they trust. So if you're in a smaller town, you would probably look for a, web designer, we call them web pro, and go to them and ask for advice, what product should I buy, and so on. So we nurture this channel very closely. Earlier this year, we had done one of the largest event, right, with these web pros, where we got them to talk about the best practices around their community, and what message they can give to customers to really adopt online and so on. And we had a lot of thought leaders. So we nurture this community. So we are helping them nurture the end customer, because the end customer comes to them, right? So that's the second one. And the third one, clearly, I think is, I talked about customer care, which is a big part of it. And then the academy, right? Because again, academy is the big educational platform where customers come, and like simple thing, right? If you're starting a business, what should you call your domain name? You have a sense, but should it be too big? Should it be too small? Should you buy a .com, or should you buy a .in? Or should you buy both? Right? I mean, these simple.
So they have all these queries.
Yeah. These are very simple things, but they become very complicated, because today you buy only one. For example, you bought only .com, and tomorrow somebody else buys .in. Right. You have built a brand, but somebody else now has another domain name. So,
of course, it's a real.
It's a conflict, right? In that sense. So this our academy gets into basic kind of education about this, and also about digital marketing and and obviously websites and so on.
Well, so you're saying the market is now 85% of like customer. You have a reach of around 85%.
The brand awareness.
Awareness. So, however, there are a lot of other people who are competing in this space. What would you say are the factors that makes GoDaddy stand out?
Yeah. I think the first is really the trust and credibility, because I think what pandemic has really differentiated for brands is that customers really kind of gravitate towards a trustworthy brand, right? Even your marketing campaigns now, no longer people would just look at a shallow market campaign. When I say shallow, meaning like it has to be authentic. People need to be relate to it. People feel like, okay, this is genuine, right? So the trust and credibility of a brand is extremely, kind of the number one top of the list. Second, I think, is about, the help they get. And like in our case, customer care plays a big role, because no matter, what we say, India is do it for me market. Right. So they always need that hand holding, and they need the assurance that somebody will be there when they need that hand holding, right? Whether it's a call, whether it's a chat, whether it's, an email inquiry or whatever that may be. But hey, somebody is there to help me, right?
Absolutely.
So that's the number two. And the number three, I think, is around the flexible product and pricing, because again, as every business is in different stage, they need a different product and perhaps a different pricing, affordability. So we are able to do that.
It pans out for every market. There is a product.
Yeah.
In the last 2 years, what has also been noticed is the leadership. For example, leadership and the HR. These are two big, conversations that came. But the leader itself. So we saw tough time. We saw when offices were closed, people were suffering. As a leader, what was the GoDaddy story? How did you handle? You have 700 employees. What was the empathy shown as a brand from the brand side? How did you tide over that phase?
Yeah. So the first thing was, I think the whole definition of a leadership changed a bit, because until pre-pandemic, employees will come to work and then they go back in their own life, and same thing for you. I think during pandemic, the walls got broken, right? You were sitting literally with the families of your employees, because everybody was online and so on, right? So the responsibility not only got limited to the employees' well-being, but the families of the employees, right? Because ultimately everybody was getting affected. So I think as a leader, you had to step in to make sure the mental wellness part, and how do you make things comfortable and less stressful for your employees and their families, which meant whether you're providing them, different tools and products and services, or around how to just stay calm. It's all about mental wellness. Right. We were anyway doing programs before around kind of physical wellness and so on.
Balanced.
But now the mental wellness became a big part. The second part was also making life easy from a meetings point of view, right? Don't overload on meetings, right? If a 10-minute meeting is good enough, it's good enough. You don't need to have 30 minutes all the time, right? Previously, if you schedule, a 30-minute meeting is minimum, right? Anything less than that doesn't look good, right? No, right? If you can do the job in 10 minutes, you can do the job in 10 minutes. Third is also making employees comfortable, because not everybody was living in a big space. Somebody had a smaller house, somebody has a bigger house. So if somebody's on a call and kids keep running around or so on, right? You need to be empathetic to that. You don't be acceptable to that, because nobody planned for this. So I think you just made the employees feel that it's okay. It's not normal. The time is not normal, but it's okay. And as far as I think you build that comfort and trust factor with the employees, give them the right mental wellness tools, give them the right flexibility, give them the right assurance. When people need time off, you need time off, and less meetings, and so on. And especially I think during this year, when we had the bad COVID Delta wave in April
June,
and May. So we obviously double down a lot on how do we crisis manage our employees, right? Whether it relates to anything to oxygen cylinders and concentrators and access to medical care, and everybody was struggling. But how can we do what we can do best, to provide that information to them?
So you also got time to write a book during the pandemic. Okay, give me a sense of what was the inspiration, and it's still an ebook, right?
Yes. Yeah. So the idea started, when the first lockdown started, a lot of these video conference calls started, right? And people would come together in webinars and talk. And as I attended 2 or 3 of them, I just started thinking that there's so much knowledge coming out of it, right? People are bringing so many different aspects of life and business, which never used to happen before. And so my thought was, instead of forgetting them, very soon you'll forget them, right? How do we institutionalize these learnings? And so I started...
The shelf life.
Yeah. So I started capturing them. And then that led me to start thinking, maybe there's more to it. And so that's when I, started writing The Subtle Shifts of Radical Change. And, the subtle shifts were there are small shifts happening, but the change were very big. And how, some of the things I talk about, the digitization, the role of the government. For example, never has the government played such an active role in business. because in these situations, government decides when you're open, when you're closed, what is allowed, what is not allowed. So as a corporate, you never thought about incorporating government relationships so much, but now you have to
parts,
now you have to learn community building, right? And then deglobalization happened, right? Everybody started looking inward and so on. So there were a lot of very interesting themes, and so the book was about just capturing those insights from many stakeholders and really lead on to perhaps learnings which can be applied in business.
Right. So I have two more questions. One is 5 years, very close at GoDaddy. What's your vision for the brand from here on?
So I think the journey is still, the good thing is the pace of digitization is quite aggressive. We would want to see, 4x more people adopting domains in the country, right? And not just GoDaddy, but generally, right? If there are 5 million domains, we'd love to see 20 million domains in this country, right? And why not, right? Because we have an internet population of 800. Our mission continues to be empowering everyday entrepreneurs and small businesses. So what we want to see is, how do we drive more adoption to domains and websites, so that way people, are able to do business. Because ultimately, if you think of customer back, when are you open, when are you closed, we don't know, right? Lockdown happens, new waves come. What is constant is that the internet never shuts.
Right.
The web is not going to shut. So how do you have your presence, online, so you can continue to do business and continue to employ people and feed your families? So our mission and vision is about empowering more and more, small businesses and entrepreneurs to come online. And also our Web Pro channel, right? We believe they are a very integral part of helping new to the world businesses come online. So, we want to do, but love to see, 4x the adoption of domains in the country, not just by us, but everybody. And that'll be a big win for the country.
Wonderful. So a lot of people watching us, a lot of them entrepreneurs, SMBs, what's your message to them who are still not online, are struggling to go online? What would you like to tell them?
I think, think of yourself as a brand, right? Whether you're individual, whether you're a business, and your brand is your biggest asset. And how do you put your biggest asset to use is through coming online, right? Because when you're online, when you have a website, you are able to tell your story. It's all about telling your story.
Right.
And that is your story, which can never be influenced or fabricated or disputed by anybody, because that's your story. So I think don't sit on the fence. Build your, come online and build your website, and then use all the tools available, which is social media and anything and everything, because that helps you reach a larger audience. A lot of times people don't come on website because they think, oh, who uses website today? Believe me, when you imagine when you're looking for something, right, you will search and you will look at the website, and if the website is not there, you'll start questioning, is this for real, right? So no matter what,
you might be directed by a social network, but ultimately you land.
And I think this is a very big misconception that people don't look at websites anymore. Contrary, our trust goes very high up. That this is a physical asset, right? Mm-hmm. Think of it. I talk about in a layman term, renting versus buying.
Right.
Website is your property you buy and you own, right? Everything else you rent, right? Tools to promote yourself is all rentable tools.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Arora. Thank you for taking out time and sharing your insights. Lovely talking to you.
Same. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.